Hello everyone, Ryan McNulty here with Byte That's official 2017 WWE Battleground review. Battleground took place at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love, which WWE just loved to remind you throughout this entire show. This was a very patriotic themed event. I myself was thinking that this might as well have been the Great American Bash. We had a lot of America versus the world going on throughout this show. My overall thoughts on this show was that it was very much a middle-of-the-road pay-per-view. My score, which I'll reveal at the end on our famous out of 4 rating scale, very much reflects that. Now, I did put up a Twitter poll, which I'll be checking in at the end of this review, so I'll give my score as well as what wrestling fans on Twitter, the Byte Club, what they thought of this event. But now I'll get into the match breakdown. The pre-show opened with Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English, the kickoff show. I thought this was very much a nice little match, TV style match for sure, but I didn't think it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. Big surprise having Aiden English get a win here. I obviously like to see this. I like Ty Dillinger, but Aiden English, if you want him to have any type of credibility, he can't just straight up be a job guy all the time. And I do think that there is a lot of potential for Aiden English. So maybe this blossoms into more of a feud, or Aiden English works with somebody else. Both of these guys probably need to work with somebody else now that I think of it, because neither of them have quite really gotten a foothold in SmackDown Live yet. Aiden English obviously trying to establish himself as a singles guy since Simon Gotch was released, and Ty Dillinger showing up just after WrestleMania. Both of these guys probably need a bigger step up in a feud. But either way, it was nice to see Aiden English get a win because he certainly has a ton of potential. Next up is my match of the night, which was also the opener of the traditional pay-per-view. We had the New Day versus the Usos for the WWE Smackdown Tag Team Championships. The Usos coming in as champions, and the New Day walking out as the new SmackDown Tag Champions. I thought this was a fantastic match. Both of these teams just really click. They have great chemistry. There was some amazing spots where there was a powerbomb spot onto the floor. The Usos got this amazing kick onto Xavier Woods when he was going for an elbow drop. That very same elbow drop that ended up being the finish for this match. I thought this match told a great story where the teams were really trying to pull something out different, and it took more than just the traditional finishers to end this. There was a lot of great false finishes and just a very, very exciting match. It's always a kind of bittersweet thing when the match of the night ends up being the opening match, but I really don't think any match throughout this night really did top this one. Just fantastic. And the New Day winning the tag titles means this feud's going to continue, and I'm completely okay with that because things have been great with these two teams. They truly are some of the best tag teams in WWE right now, and they're crushing it right now. So happy to see this continue. Next up, we had Nakamura versus Baron Corbin. This was a hard-hitting match, a little on the slow side, and of course ending a little disappointing in a DQ. There was a low blow, I believe Baron Corbin hit. Nakamura gets the win via DQ. It's one of those situations where this is a situation where neither of these guys, you don't really want to see either of them take a loss right now because they're both trying to be built up. Nakamura is a guy that they've been protecting very well since he debuted post-WrestleMania, and Corbin now has the briefcase for the Money in the Bank, and history has shown that normally the guy with the briefcase loses a lot before he cashes in and wins, but that's kind of a logic that I don't necessarily agree with. so I would rather Corbin be someone who's protected, considering he has the briefcase. So in the end, we get a disappointing pay-per-view match because they book themselves into a corner and they don't want to commit either way. So overall, yeah, pretty disappointing. Next, we move on to the women's match. This was a 5-woman elimination match to determine the number 1 contender for who would face Naomi at SummerSlam. This match featured Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Tamina, Nattie, and Lana. Lana and Tamina were actually pretty heavily featured at the opening of this match, considering they've formed this sort of alliance, seemingly to gain an advantage in this match, but it looks like that could be continuing further. I really didn't think this match was that bad. Obviously, in a 5-person elimination match, you have to pick up the pace, and I thought that things kept moving fast enough that it didn't really have any boring portions of it to me. It seemed like everything kept moving. The flow was fine. It wasn't the prettiest match in the world, but I thought it was perfectly fine for what it needed to be. And Nattie gets a surprising win. I did not expect this at all. I actually I'm okay with this, although I'm definitely concerned for audience interest going into SummerSlam. Nattie's someone I've always had a lot of respect for. She was really, a woman who could wrestle really well, and kind of started at a time when women's wrestling was sort of in a bad place. And now she's stuck around long enough that women's wrestling has really come a long way, and she is now getting to really show off her ability. So it's nice to see her get a nod and be featured in a high-profile women's match at a very high-profile pay-per-view. So without a doubt, I know I hate the chant, "You deserve it," but it's nice to see hard work get rewarded. Nattie's been a very selfless worker for a very long time. So to see her get some appreciation is nice. Now, character-wise, I'm not exactly a huge fan of Nattie because she seems to really just play off the Bret Hart thing, and she's very one-dimensional in that aspect. So I want to see something more from her. She really brought out some different things in her feud with Nikki Bella, but since then, it's just all ripping off Hart catchphrases, and I just want to see a little bit more than that, and I hope she rises to the challenge. Like I said, I do have some concerns about Nattie versus Naomi as sort of this match that's really going to gain interest from the WWE universe. Now, Naomi is somewhat popular, but I wouldn't put her on the same level as someone like Becky Lynch or even Charlotte. And so the fact that Nattie is, I feel that a lot of the WWE universe is more or less apathetic towards her, which is not necessarily deserved, but I do feel when I hear crowd reactions that there really isn't that huge interest in Nattie, and it's unfortunate, but I think that's just the reality of the situation. So they're going to have to really put in some overtime to gain fan interest in this feud, but I'm totally open to see where it goes. Now, this sort of leaves the rest of the women's division in an interesting spot where I think we're going to get Becky and Charlotte facing off against this new alliance of Tamina and Lana. I very much expect that to be where that goes with the women's division. Anyway, moving on to AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. AJ Styles walks in as champion. Kevin Owens walks out, regaining his recently lost United States Championship. It's becoming more evident that the house show title change was very much just a way to get buzz going for house shows again, and that Owens has been the long-term plan with the United States Championship. This match I thought was a little bit of a disappointment, to be honest, because I think I was expecting a major classic between these two, and instead we kind of got just one of these screwy finishes. Now, the commentators really didn't emphasize it, but it looked to me as if both people had, both AJ and Owens had their shoulders down, and it seems like there's going to be some sort of double pin thing where AJ is going to protest the finish of this match. Either way, we're going to get some sort of rematch given that there was a title change. So I'm not exactly sure if it is going to be some sort of double pin situation, because like I said, the commentators didn't mention it at all. They just said that Owens kind of got a lucky pin, but it seemed like AJ obviously felt that there was something off. There was a ref bump that took place, so that might play into it. But I expect a lot more to be clear this Tuesday on SmackDown Live. So, like I said, this match kind of disappointing. Next up, we had a flag match. John Cena representing the United States versus Rusev representing Bulgaria. That huge United States versus Bulgaria feud that's been going on for so long, of course. So this was another one of the Murica matches. I mean, even the New Day came out in their full-on American flag gear. So just a lot of patriotism going on. I'm sure nobody in the international audience felt left out at all. Anyway, I didn't think this match was that bad. Like I said, a lot of middle-of-the-road matches for this show. This definitely had a slow start, as, the match isn't going to end until they start heading up the ramp with the flag. So almost anything that happens in the ring, sure, it means something, but how much does it really mean when you don't feel like the match could end at any moment? And it was very telegraphed when Rusev starts setting up the double tables near the American podium. I was like, oh, here's Rusev setting up his own demise. Can't wait for that attitude adjustment off the American stage. Bye-bye, Rusev. So yes, and that's exactly what happened. Like I said, I didn't think it was that bad. I wasn't bored, but I wasn't blown away either. I hope Rusev is able to move on to bigger and better things, and John Cena can shift into a feud I'm expecting with Jinder Mahal, but we'll see. And of course, that will mean more patriotic America versus foreign person feud, which, please, for the love of God, SmackDown needs to move on from. At least, let's just have one going on instead of like three. We also had a Fashion Files segment, the Fashion X-Files. We thought we were going to maybe get a match with Breezango facing off against the mystery team. That wasn't the case. The Ascension tried to own up to it again, that it was them, but that wasn't the case because they were at an Eddie Money concert. And you know what? I appreciate the sense of humor from the Ascension, making fun of themselves. It's made them a lot more entertaining. Instead, in the dark, Breezango were attacked, and we still don't know who this team is. I've heard rumors that it could be Harper and Rowan teaming up again, which in a way is cool, but in another way, it's like these guys can never just grow from there. It's Luke Harper, sadly, has just kind of stopped showing up, and it seems like someone who we thought was legitimately going to be in a WWE title match at WrestleMania is now just not on TV anymore and is probably going to regress back to a tag team with Eric Rowan. That's a little depressing. We don't know if that's the case, but it seems very likely that could be the case. We had Mike Kanellis versus Sami Zayn. Commentary during this match was a little cringy. It was just a lot of power of love talk and just talking about random things, everything just kind of going off about the Mike Maria love thing than even really paying attention to the match going on. Sami Zayn gets the win, evens the score with Mike Kanellis. I think this is a good thing. Mike Kanellis is very new to the roster. Sami Zayn, we know he's a great person to feud with for a new person, but at the same time, I do appreciate that they try to keep Sami Zayn's credibility. He's beaten Baron Corbin. You're not going to let Mike Kanellis get 2 wins over him. So 50-50 booking, yes, but I appreciate Sami Zayn's a popular guy. We can't just have him jobbing to everyone. Have him even the score, keep the credibility going, and I thought this was a fine match. Finally, we had the Punjabi Prison Match. Champion Jinder Mahal taking on challenger Randy Orton. And this match, I actually maybe I just haven't been paying attention the past couple weeks, but I had totally forgotten about the 4 gates that are in the first bamboo structure, that you have a timer on each of these gates, and they are only open once you ask for them to be open. After that, that door is shut for good, and you have to climb over if you want to get out, because you only have 4 chances essentially. It does create an interesting dynamic, so that each structure there is sort of a different goal. So Punjabi prison matches in the past have kind of had an infamous notoriety, but at the same time, we got to think back to those matches, and it was, I believe, you had a lot of super heavyweights going on in those Punjabi prison matches. You also had the Great Khali in one of them, who is not the most agile of people. And I have to say that I was surprisingly entertained by this Punjabi prison match. I thought Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal did a pretty damn good job given the circumstances. I was interested in what was going on the entire time. Sure, we got a lot of the same old, here's the Singh brothers coming in and doing that, but I did get a sense of brutality from this match that I haven't even felt in a Hell in a Cell match in a long time, since maybe Triple H versus The Undertaker. And I'm not trying to compare these two matches like they're even on the same level, but just sort of the way a Hell in a Cell felt brutal years ago and during a few key ones in recent times. I felt that, the way that they were getting cut up by either kendo sticks or just the bamboo structure itself, it really did feel like this was a dangerous structure. And, a huge shout out, to the Singh brothers. These guys are taking crazier and crazier bumps. That table bump by one of the Singh brothers, I should have got his name. I think it might have been Samir. It was crazy. That was a big drop down to that announce table. So, this match was entertaining. I was completely entertained by it. I had heard the rumors that the Great Khali was going to be at this event, so it wasn't exactly shocking when he showed up to eventually help Jinder Mahal win. But I was pretty entertained by this match, and maybe I'm in the minority there. But I will fully admit that I don't think this match was that bad, and I would be open to ones in the future. Now, sure, maybe it only makes sense if you have someone like Jinder Mahal involved, but we'll see. I really don't think it's that bad, and in fact, I really honestly think it's a more interesting match type now than Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell, there's really not much left that can be done, and with them not using blood and stuff, like Hell in a Cell with blood is a major thing, and when it doesn't have it, it is less of a match. So I honestly was completely good with this match. Now, I was half expecting Randy Orton to win, and if he did win, that there would be a Baron Corbin cash-in, so I was kind of waiting for that, but of course, if I knew if Jinder was going to win, that a cash-in was, very, very unlikely to happen, because if they want Corbin to really cash in and for people to hate him, it has to be on a babyface. So anyway, Jinder Mahal wins, retains the title. I know a lot of people are not happy with Jinder Mahal as champion, but now that it's clear that he should probably be moving on to a new opponent, then maybe it's not all bad, and it's just this particular feud was just not a good place. So we will have to see who Jinder Mahal feuds with next. I think John Cena is a good candidate, so that's when it's really nut up or shut up, as they say for Jinder Mahal. That'll be his true test, if it's sink or swim. So anyway, that is my thoughts for WWE Battleground 2017. I'm giving this show on our famous Byte That's famous out of 4 rating scale. I'm giving this show a 2 out of 4. Awesome opening tag match for the show. I was entertained by the Punjabi Prison Match. The rest of the matches I thought were just kind of middle of the road. A little disappointed with the Styles and Owens match, but nevertheless, those are my thoughts. So now going to our Twitter poll, we will see what the Byte Club thought so far. With the views coming in, we have the majority disagreeing with me. We have 39% giving this a 1 out of 4 with bad, although 36% agree with me with a 2 out of 4, just okay. 11% say pretty good, and 14% say great. So sort of a polarizing show. A lot of mixed thoughts there. We have, a decent amount of representation for, each of the 4 voting categories. We'll have to see what Juan and Keith think as they will give their thoughts on this Wednesday's podcast. So the whole crew, myself, Juan, and Keith, will give our thoughts on not only Battlegrounds, but Raw and Smackdown, the fallout of those shows. That'll be Wednesday. You can catch us live on YouTube. That's youtube.com/ByteThatCast. You can also catch the audio version of that podcast on either iTunes /Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or other podcast platforms. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.